This is the Voices of Herriman podcast, the podcast that amplifies the voices of our community. Nestled here in the heart of Herriman, where everyone has a story. Whether you're a Herriman native, a newcomer, or an admirer from afar, I got you on this adventure. Welcome to the Voices of Herriman. Welcome to Voices of Herriman. We are here with Sam Gibbs in the basement of redemption. Sam, so glad to have you on the podcast today.
Pleasure to be here, Kevin. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, man. Do you remember the first time we met?
Yeah, it was at a fundraiser / Herriman networking meeting right around Christmas.
Yeah, it was actually right upstairs from here.
Yeah.
Like what a cool thing that was to be able to be a part of. I mean, it was for the principal's pantry, right?
Yeah, we run a pantry at Athlos Academy, and Mayor Palmer set it up as a fundraiser, and I had no idea just the generosity and bounty that was going to come. You know, I came and brought a few things, and I just watched people flood through the door, truckloads of things people brought in to donate to the pantry. I think there were 3 truckloads full of stuff by the end of the luncheon. It was incredible.
And I think Teddy Hodges came through with the freezer, right?
Yeah, he did. He got a freezer for our pantry so we could store, meat and things like that you don't usually get to keep very long. So it was good. It was amazing.
Yeah, I don't think there was a dry eye there. I think it was such an indication of like really who we are as a community and our ability to come together.
Yeah, the support was amazing, and people didn't know us. They just knew there was this need and just poured it out in amazing amounts. It was incredible.
It is way cool. So Sam, you are going into your 28th year of being an educator, right?
Yeah.
Man, that's a good lifetime. What shaped you, or what really prepared you to, or made you want to become an educator?
Well, a couple things. One, I grew up the 7th of 11 kids. My dad was probably 5th generation coal miner in Wyoming. Education wasn't a thing. In his family, you just grew up and you went to the mines. But he got drafted into Vietnam, came home from Vietnam and was on the GI Bill and went to college, and kind of changed the trajectory of his life and of our family. Education was a huge thing, and we were taught from the time we could walk that education was going to be an avenue for us to make our dreams come true, really. And so I knew I wanted to get an education, and it was pretty obvious to me that providing education was what I was meant to do.
I would agree with that. I think that you are uniquely qualified to be an educator. What is your favorite part about being an educator?
Well, it's a hard question because there's a lot of things that come together.
Right?
Obviously the kids. I mean, I make the joke, if I have a bad day, I just go to kindergarten and everything's great again, because you get to be with kids that have that vibrancy and enthusiasm for life and just love life. But I think education, especially, you can see very quickly the impact that you have on an individual or on a group of individuals. And so I just love trying to put something good in place for a child or for a group of kids and see it happen and see them move forward and become different. And so,
I think that's right. Let's talk about Athlos for just a minute here. Because when you took over Athlos, they were in a little bit of in a lot of trouble, right? They had 12 different probations,
they were on a notice of concern from the state with 12 items. And kind of what I've done my whole career, I've gone from school to school that was in trouble and tried to build a community and a climate and systems and processes that got schools out of trouble. I did that for a number of years in Cincinnati and in Dayton and places like that, St. George. And then I came to Athlos. So that's kind of been my career path. But yeah, they had 12 notices in their notice of concern. And we just tackled it. We were able to eliminate 10 of them in my first year there. And I think that really helped set Athlos on the path to
becoming what it was always meant to be. That's 10 out of 12 feels like that's a heck of a caseload to take on.
Yeah. I mean, it's some good heavy lifting, especially in a year. A lot of times schools and school systems take a longer time to turn around. And so I think the other two will probably be done this year, and there were some good things in place to finish that, but usually it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 years to get a school moved and going in the direction it should go. So I'm super happy.
That's really impressive. What in your career is like prepared you to be able to handle that? You said you've handled it, like opportunities like that several times. What in your life really prepped you to say, hey, look, I'm prepared. I have the skill set to be able to do this.
Gosh, lots of things. I think one, growing up in a family of 11, you become really independent. You learn that every problem is solvable and it's your job to solve it. I've had a very unique opportunity when I was doing missionary work for the church I belonged to. I went into areas of the world where the church had never been. I opened areas and I started congregations. And so I had to learn to do some things there. It was very much in remote. And so things you learn to rely on, like technology, electricity, running water, those things weren't there. And so I just learned to become very independent. But also, I think you just have a few experiences in your life, every person, where you come to know who you are and what you're supposed to be. One of mine was with the birth of my oldest son. Middle of the night in the hospital, I was trying to let mom rest. So I took him to a little corner in the hospital. And I just realized that I loved this little boy more than anything else in the world. And it struck me that every child that I work with was somebody else's baby. And they deserved the commitment and the energy and the vision and opportunity that I wanted for my son. And so it was my job to ensure that that opportunity came for every kid.
That's powerful. That is a powerful awareness. It's always unique how all these experiences, whether they're, perceived as good or bad, really are prepping us for the next experience. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every experience, good, bad, or ugly, is a growth opportunity and a chance to get aligned with yourself and who you are and what you're meant to do.
I love that. I mean, what was your favorite experience? I mean, there's got to be 100 of them, but maybe a top one that sticks in your mind with Atlos. Like I said, this was my favorite experience that I'll take away from my time there.
Oh, wow. It may be just the community outpouring of, for the principal's pantry. I think going and serving at the pantry, last day of school, where the kids just line up. Also, there's a little tradition I have when I go greet every class every morning. And so the kids will wait for me to come in the class and say, "Good morning, young scholars," or something like that, and just greet you in unison. It's almost like out of a movie, and just a sense of love and a sense of community and family that was there at the school when I finished.
Yeah, I definitely think you were well, not the catalyst. They're really turning the trajectory of that school, and obviously you made the decision to jump over to Salt Lake Academy, but before that, I mean, that couldn't have been an easy decision for you at all.
It wasn't. I love Athlos and the teachers there and the students there, and I love what we were doing there. It felt like home. But Salt Lake Academy, formerly known as Real Salt Lake Academy, it had some other components. Obviously, I am a super soccer fan. That's my vice is soccer. And so just the opportunity to combine my two big passions in one professionally was something I couldn't pass up. And so I I had to move over when the opportunity came.
Absolutely. Is there anything, since it says the Voice of Herriman podcast, anything you'd like to say to the students or the staff of Atlos while you're here?
Well, a couple things. I want to tell the students and staff at Atlos how much I love them and how proud I am of them. And just to remind them to embody the things that they learned there. It wasn't solely academics. We worked a lot on items of character, things like grit, things like courage, things like social awareness and social relations and things to help them become successful adults. I don't look at the kids as 6-year-olds or 10-year-olds. I look at them at 26-year-olds and who are they going to be? And so just remember the things that they're learning and remember who they're supposed to become. That's what I would encourage all the people affiliated with Atlos to do.
Okay, guys, you heard it here. Got to remember your potential right here. I love that. I think that's empowering for young kids when they're viewed as not as where they are, but where they could and can be. I think that's really empowering. Like, have that belief in them. It almost sparks this, like, hey, somebody believes in me. I'm going to go achieve more. Yeah,
I found personally, it's easier to be my best self when those around me see my best self. It's a lot easier to be who I desire to be and who I think I can be when others see that in me.
Awesome. Tell us a bit more about Salt Lake Academy, formerly RSL Academy. What about it? I mean, obviously they've got the soccer side of it and the school side of it. What do we not know about that school?
Well, first I would say it is a school for everyone. It's not just a school for athletes. I mean, the mission of the school is to help every individual maximize their potential academically and athletically. Those are the two things there. It's a really unique partnership between RSL, the soccer program, and Jordan School District. We're a charter school that was authorized by Jordan School District and not necessarily by the state of Utah. And so it was always designed to serve the people and the kids in this area and to bring them. But we have tremendous academics there. It's a small school, about 400. And so if a student wants an opportunity to be involved, they can be involved, whether it be in athletics. We have a policy, we don't cut. And so if we have enough kids that want to play on a soccer team, we just create another soccer team and we find a league to join in. Even though we have 400 kids, our top teams compete at the 6A because they want to compete at the top of their levels, but we compete at 3A and at 2A and things. There's an opportunity for every student there and everyone is known there. So I don't want to say it's not just an athletic school because athletics are a big part of it, but it's meant to maximize your academics and it has the same design I talked about with Athlos. The design is to make people into the maximum that they can be.
Awesome. Because obviously we've got soccer there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We have basketball there.
We have basketball there. We have volleyball there.
And volleyball's a newer one, right?
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
But they do well. So those are the three main sports there. Latinos in Action is a program that they have going there. For a club there, they do a lot with esports and robotics as well. They work quite a bit in STEAM, a lot in the health sciences. And so it's not just athletics, but there's sports medicine and there's sports marketing and there's a lot in health sciences. We run a health science internship with Salt Lake County. So
cool.
Again, there's a place for everyone, whether you're a super athlete or just like athletics or like business or engineering. Class sizes are small. I know we taught an AP stats class of 4 last year. And so those kids got a great education.
Yeah, they did. I love it over there. I've been over there a couple times. Worked with Becky Hogan on a couple of different programs. I just love Becky. She's
an all-star.
She is fantastic. So smart, so witty, so talented. But everything about that school is just impressive. So it definitely behooves us as a community to learn a little bit more about it. Sam, I want to share a quote with you. It's from Victor Hugo. It says, he who opens a school door closes a prison door. Right now, first part of that question is that applicable today? And two, obviously this was, Victor Hugo is not aware of our times. What are the modifications that you're seeing in education now as far as schools preventing prison? Maybe not an actual physical prison, but prison of the mental, prison of the emotional.
Man, that's an awesome quote first. And I love Victor Hugo. In his day, obviously, education kept people out of poverty, but it also educated the mind. A classical education in his day taught the high ideals of morality, of personal integrity, of courage, and those things. And many of those things move people away from the practices in life that would cause you to be in jail and those things. So that's absolutely true. And if you look at statistically, the education level of those in the regular community versus those that are incarcerated is astoundingly different. One of the things I did on the side when I was a teacher and a coach at Davis High School is I taught GED courses at the jail up in Davis County. And we were able to get 41 incarcerated individuals that are GED when I was doing that 1 year. And so,
oh, that's cool.
It's a thing. Yet education opens doors and opens opportunities. And I would say, even if college or masters and PhDs aren't your way, advanced training is something that everyone should pursue because it opens doors of opportunity. But what I'll say now in our postmodern society, in addition to all the things that college and advanced education and even high school education brings, where you're not just taught mathematics and biology and engineering and in sports. You learn character, you learn competition, you learn commitment, you learn goal setting, you learn drive, you learn self-control, so many things. But much of what the school also does is helps students learn what I would call the critical thinking and the higher skills. A lot of students come from backgrounds of trauma, of poverty, of depression, of anxiety, things like that. And schools really do provide an avenue for students to find tools and resources to manage any trauma, any loss, any anxiety they faced, and not just manage, but to be able to categorize and view with an objective point of view and place those experiences in a way where they're not as damaging, but can be positive and springboards to go forward. I know we have a mental health counselor at the school. That's been a big drive throughout Utah, but especially here in the South Valley, to make sure there are mental health supports for every student in the school. And so you can rise academically, you can elevate your circumstance, but you can also become an integrated person despite any social, emotional obstacle that you have encountered.
That's like put that on a poster. I'm motivated to go now. I really appreciate that take on that. I love what you said there. Wow, I can't even add to that. That was really good. Nice. I'm going to break it down. We're going to go a little bit lighter, and we're going to go into our lightning round, our quick hit questions.
Okay.
You're a soccer fan.
I am.
All right. So we're gonna test you a little bit and see your soccer knowledge, also where your loyalties truly lie. All right. What is the best soccer league in the world?
I think the Premier League is still the best soccer league in the world currently.
Over La Liga, huh?
Over La Liga. I think top to bottom, Premier League's better.
What is your favorite soccer team abroad?
Abroad? I have two. I follow Chelsea and I follow Boca.
Boca?
Yeah.
Where's that at?
That's in Argentina. That's in Buenos Aires. I served a mission in Argentina, but that's where Diego Maradona played.
Oh yeah.
When I was coming up, he was the golden boy. And so I loved Boca growing up.
All right. Well, then this question we could probably guess, but Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi by far. By far. Not even in the same sentence. Messi by far.
Okay. All right. Did that change after the World Cup win, or was that before the World Cup win?
No, that was before the World Cup win. Just the things he can do with the ball and the way he sees the field and the things he does without the ball are without comparison.
All right. Who's your favorite soccer team at home?
I gotta say RSL, but I also love the men's national team. I'm a homer for U.S. national team.
That was a tough loss.
Yeah,
the
that was heartbreaker.
Or the Gold Cup. Yeah, that was a really tough loss. What does Messi going to enter Miami mean for MLS?
Well, I think everywhere he goes, he elevates the level of play around him. Clout isn't the right word, but there's a prestige that comes with him. Just like when Beckham came or some of the other international players, Christian Bale, it demonstrates that our league isn't a second tier league. It's a national and an international product, and that people want to be here. Because the greats want to play on great teams.
Ronaldo just said, I think it was a couple of days ago, he said that the Saudi league was better than MLS. Why is he wrong?
I would say if you just look at the overall quality of players and the quantity of quality players coming out of MLS compared to the Saudi League recruits them, but Saudi League doesn't develop them. MLS develops a lot. I mean, hundreds of international level players, and the Saudi League doesn't do that. They just recruit them. And to me, there's a difference. And that's one of the great things about RSL and Salt Lake Academy. It is one of the top developmental programs in the United States for youth soccer. And they place players on all the MLS teams, but they place people on international teams too, coming right out of the high school. It's a neat thing. And so kids can chase their dream and become an international soccer player coming right through the high school.
I love that. What's your favorite movie?
Wow. Chariots of Fire.
There's the competitive side of you coming out.
Competitive side coming out. Also love Tommy Boy.
That's a great one. Favorite line from Tommy Boy. What is it?
That's going to leave a mark.
That's going to leave a mark. Give me a bucket list goal.
I run half marathons and marathons. I would love to qualify for the Boston. I need to hit a 324. I just ran a 335 in May in Ogden, and I'm running the Deseret News on Monday, hoping to hit my 324. So that's a bucket list. Love to visit Greece and Italy more and see some of the ancient world stuff. I used to teach history, so ancient world, those places have a lot of meaning for me too.
Okay. Favorite ancient civilization?
Favorite ancient civilization? I think it's got to be Rome, just because of what they created and the expanse of the world. I mean, they basically ruled all of the known world, and the Colosseum and the aqueducts and all the things they built and generated. I think it's incredible.
Best piece of advice you ever got?
Best piece of advice I ever got. You can rest when the game's over.
Yes.
I came from a high school soccer coach, Roger Dupay at Skyline. He just used to say, Sam, I need every second of energy you have. You can rest when the game's over. And so to me, when you're working on something and when you're getting after something, you shouldn't be out of balance, but when you're in it, you're in it. And when it's over, then you can rest.
What's the worst piece of advice you ever got?
Put yourself first. That doesn't mean you don't care for yourself and engage in self-care. You have to engage in self-care. But I think if you just put yourself first all the time, you miss what you're here for. You're here to build people and build communities and to make a difference. There's another quote that I love. It says, "Far too often we're remembered fondly when we might have touched others deeply." And I think, at least for me, that's my purpose. My purpose is to touch others deeply while I'm here, as long as that lasts.
I love that. What is your favorite failure? Which failure in your life has taught you the most and helped you be successful the most?
Favorite failure. What's helped me the most is early on in my career, I lost a job, not for anything horrible, but just didn't do a good job and lost the trust of somebody ahead of me. And they basically just said, "Sam, you were capable of more and I expected more and you didn't live up to that." And just forced me to live in alignment with who I am and what I'm capable of doing. Losing a job sucks, but I mean, it also.
But like we talked about earlier, like if you're growing from it,
yeah,
if you can't look at it as a growing experience, then that's a shame on us as the failee,
yeah,
right? And not being able to grow from it is our fault.
Yeah.
All right, last question. Salt Lake Academy and Herriman, right? We like we talked about, maybe we don't know as much about what goes on at the Salt Lake Academy. What are the things that need to happen from the city, from the community, from the school to really foster and build a healthier, more positive relationship going forward?
First of all, I got to say, I love what Herriman does, and I love the relationship that I've had with the Herriman community as an educator and as a resident. I live here. I love it here. But I think the academy has kind of just gone and done its own thing and been its own entity. And I would love to see so much integration and more kind of, I guess, partnerships and natural grassroots relationships there. I mean, it isn't just a soccer school. And one thing I've learned, I've just been there for a month, but it does so much for the community that people don't even know. For example, we had 2 teams, one from Germany and one from the Netherlands this week that just came in and stayed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just came and just used the facility. They were on a tour and they came and practiced there. The Olympic Development Program last week brought 2,000 kids from 14 different states, and they were here for a week, and all the VRBOs and all the restaurants and all the hotels and families. There are 2 families that are relocating to Herriman because they came and just saw this area. And so I don't think people always know all the things that both RSL and Salt Lake Academy contribute to the community. And it is a great place for your kids and a great place for your families. I try to open the doors everywhere I go. I mean, if there are community meetings that need to be held, I'm happy to hold them there. Scout meetings and different trainings and places like that. That was one thing I did at Athlos a lot, was just trying to welcome the community into the school. But it is a great, great school, and it is complementary to the other schools that exist there. Some people always think of Salt Lake Academy or other charters as in competition too, and it's not. We run parallel. We're complementary. A lot of times we work together on things, but with Mountain Ridge and Herriman High, we complement that program. And frankly, those schools will be overcrowded if we weren't there. And there's a place for everyone at our school, and they ought to give it a look.
I love that. Now, obviously, with our podcast being called The Voices of Herriman, right? We appreciate your voice. Your voice is meaningful. It's impactful. It's needed. It's wanted, and we are grateful for it. So we'd like to give you an opportunity to share with Herriman your voice, your message that you have for us.
Okay. First, I want to thank the community of Herriman. I have been welcomed here and have in many ways being able to live my best life here as a person. And I think that's something that Herriman does. I encourage every person who lives here to recognize that your community is bigger than your own backyard. That there is something that you can do and should do and ought to do to elevate your neighbors, to elevate your block, to elevate your school, to elevate your church community or your neighborhood community. There are so many clubs and organizations here that are dedicated to doing good things. I encourage you, while keeping balance in your life, to make sure that you reach beyond yourself, because Herriman has allowed me to do that as a person, and I think this community can benefit from it and will also benefit others by us doing it.
Awesome. I love that. Thanks again for coming on. We're so blessed and grateful to have you in our community. Just a reminder out there, guys, if you mention the podcast when you come into Redemption, you get 50% off a macaroni and cheese balls appetizer.
Nice.
Also a reminder that Monday nights from 7 to 9, we have country dancing here. It's free. And so come and learn how to country dance. It's a great opportunity, but you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Herriman, we got you. Okay. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for being a part of the Voices of Herriman podcast. I hope you've been inspired, moved, and have connected with the stories and the passion shared by our community. As I wrap up this episode, remember, the journey does not end here. Keep exploring, keep sharing, and keep connecting. Together, we can create a vibrant, supportive, and thriving community. If you have a story to share, a suggestion for future episodes, or just want to say, hey, I'd love to hear from you, reach out on social media at Voices of Herriman and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Before we go, a heartfelt thank you to Mix at Six Studios for producing and editing our podcast. Head over to mixat6studios.com to learn more about all the amazing services they offer. To the amazing individuals who have shared with me their stories and our fantastic listeners, you make Voices of Herriman a meaningful experience. Until next time, take care, stay connected, and remember, I got you.